Shalom, Kal Halalim Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of GMS Ruel, who I learned this truth from, and salutations and blessings to you elect, starting with the 144,000. So this is Ezekiel 21. I'm going to start at 18, and this is going to go into something called Haruspex. All right. And years ago when I first read the scripture, I understood it was divination, but I didn't understand why the significance of the liver, right? That took further research, and today I'm going to go into that, the science of these other nations pretty much. So I'm going to read in the KJV first. This is Ezekiel 21 and 18. The word of the Lord, Yahweh, came unto me saying, again, Slakia, came unto me again saying, also, thou son of man, appoint thee 2 ways that the sword of the king of Babylon may come. Both twain shall come forth out of one land. And choose thou a place, choose it at the head of the way to the city. Appoint a way that the sword may come to Rabbath of the Ammonites, and to Judah and Jerusalem the defenced. For the king of Babylon stood at the parting way, right? This is the verse 21. At the head of the 2 ways, to use divination. He made his arrows bright. He consulted with images. He looked in the liver. Okay. Verse 22, at his right hand was the divination for Jerusalem to appoint captains, to open the mouth in the slaughter, to lift up the voice with shouting, to appoint battering rams against the gates, to cast a mount, and to build a fort. Now let's read that in the NLT. Verse 21, the king of Babylon now stands at the fork, right? And this was historical. So he came and he didn't know which way to go pretty much, right? Uncertain whether to attack Jerusalem or Rabbah. He called his magicians to look for omens. What are omens? Signs. They cast lots by shaking arrows from the quiver. They inspect the livers of sacrificed animals. They inspect the livers of animal sacrifices. The omen in his right hand says Jerusalem with battering rams. His soldiers will go against the gates, shouting for the kill. They will put up siege towers and build ramps against the walls. The people of Jerusalem will think it is a false omen because of their treaty with the Babylonians, but the king of Babylon will remind the people of their rebellion. Then he will attack and capture them. See? Because we went off. But the point is, the liver, right? He looked into the liver. Now, this was actually something like, as I already mentioned, Haruspex, right? In the religion of ancient Rome, a Haruspex was a person trained to practice a form of divination. Now, what is divination? Let's just get it real quick. To foresee, and from the Latin divinare, to foresee, foretell, to predict, to prophesy. Okay? What people call today a fortune teller. All right? Right, is the attempt to gain insight into a question or situation by way of an occultic ritual or practice. Using various methods throughout history, diviners ascertain their interpretations of how a curate should proceed by reading signs, events, or omens, or through alleged contact or interaction with supernatural agencies such as spirits, gods, godlike beings, or the will of the universe. And then you hear that today a lot. Oh, the universe. So that's how you know that's all divination. It says a person, sorry again, in the religion of ancient Rome, a Haruspex was a person trained to practice a form of divination called haruspici or spicy, the inspection of the entrails of sacrificed animals, especially the livers of sacrificed sheep and poultry. Various ancient cultures of the Near East, such as the Babylonians. And one thing about the Babylonians was the Babylonians were high-level witches. Okay, they had high magic because if we're being honest, they were through Nimrod right after the flood. They carried that pre-flood occult madness. They tried to build the tower. They tried to make everybody of one language, one nation, one tongue. Right, so they carried a lot of you know magic, if we will, sorcery, after the flood. So the Babylonians, mainly the Chaldeans, when you read about them, okay, they were serious warlocks and witches, you know. So it says the Babylonians also read omens specifically from the liver, a practice also known by the Greek term hepatoscopy, right? The hepa, like you got hepatitis. Hepa is Greek for liver. Okay, the word liver is Greek, hepa, right? So now let's go to this website, armstronginstitute.org. Looking into the liver, archaeology illustrates a peculiar Bible verse. For the king, now we read that scripture, right? Looking into a liver, it's a strange passage for scripture of scripture written by the prophet Ezekiel, but it is one that has now been well illustrated thanks to archaeological research. Okay, arguably the best illustration of Ezekiel 21:26 can be found at the British Museum in the form of a peculiarly shaped piece of clay covered in holes and writing. This artifact is known as the liver tablet, dating to the Old Babylonian period, circa 1900 to 1600 BC. This tablet is believed to have come from the Babylonian city Sapar in modern-day Baghdad province, Iraq. It is a clay model of a sheep's liver, apparently used as a training device for students studying to become a Baru priest. The ancient Babylonians, believing their gods foreknew the future, believed that these gods left clues available in order to predict the future, namely clues that were contained in the liver of an animal. The Bible affirms that life is in the blood, Genesis 9:4, Leviticus 17:11, something that has been proved today with the understanding of the oxygenation of the bloodstream. The Babylonians believed that the liver was the source of that blood, thus the life essence. All right, and pretty much when you look up the liver, the significance, the spiritual significance of the liver, you had many civilizations and kingdoms in the ancient times that believed the liver was the soul of the seat of your essence, pretty much. Okay, it says with a little mental gymnastics, it thus only made sense to the Babylonians that the selection and slaughtering of just the right sheep or chicken, and analysis of the liver could determine future events. Now, this is all, again, this is all heathen science, and these devils, these demons that these warlocks deal with, they lie to them. But there is power. Of course they have power. When these devils worship the sun god and they sacrifice children and people, that brings power to them. That brings them whether fortune, insight, affluence, influence, whatever they desire. Pretty much when they worship these things, it gives them that power. So there is power in these things, but this is all foolishness, right? Deuteronomy 18:10, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire. Why was Jake doing this? Why were they worshiping Baal or Molech? Because it brought them certain goodies, man, carnally. And we've been worshiping this guy, man, all throughout different kingdoms. The Carthaginians, yeah, we always mention, yeah, the Carthaginians, those Israelites, the Carthaginians, yeah, Hannibal Barca, yeah. Well, these guys were worshiping Baal and Molech. When you look it up, they were sacrificing people and children. Okay, now you have the elites. They took the ancient Canaanite Babylonian customs, the sorcery, and they put their spin on it, and they're utilizing it in a very high fashion. They're exercising that, right? Through the fire, or they use a divination or an observer of times or an enchanter or a witch. Now in the NLT it says, for example, never sacrifice your son or daughter as a burnt offering, and do not let your people practice fortune telling. You go in the hood, you'll see fortune teller, palm reader, tarot card reader, the two-story building. You got the business at the bottom, and you got the witch on the top. Them two-story buildings, man. You go up, oh, fortune telling. I'll tell your fortune. Love, finances, whatever. Personal relationships. Fortune telling, or use sorcery, or interpret omens. omens, or engage in witchcraft, or cast spells, verse 11, or function as mediums or psychics. Psychic is another big one. Now you got it on apps. This place is so wicked and filthy. You got it. You'll get it on advertisement on apps. Oh, download this on Google, and you can you can contact this spirit, or you can find out this, or fortune telling and tarot card reading or palm reading. Scan your palm. I seen one for scan your palm. Right. So we're living in a highly demonic society. Right, or cast spells, or function as mediums or psychics, or call forth the spirits of the dead. See? So this is all madness. Verse 12, anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord Yahweh. It is because the other nations have done these detestable things that the Lord Yahweh, your power, will drive them out ahead of you. See? But you must be blameless before the Lord Yahweh, your power. Right? The nations you were about to displace consult sorcerers and fortune tellers, but the Lord Yahweh, your power, forbids you to do such things. So this is detestable. This is nasty. This is like a used tampon you see on the street, or a fucking condom you see. You know what I'm saying? You'll see that shit somewhere. Oh man, you look at that, you look away. You don't even want to look at it. That's detestable. That's what exactly these witches, warlocks, fortune tellers, psychics are to the Lord. You have a very big popular game, a board game, you could buy that shit, the Ouija board, at Walmart, on Amazon. These things are detestable, and these, starting with these children, they get they mess with that shit young. I never played that shit in my life, because even in the world, I knew, listen, this is madness. I'm not fucking with no spirits. Are you crazy? There's enough shit to deal with in regular society, man. You got to defend yourself, fight. You know what I'm saying? Go through this hoop, jump this, distance. Nah, bro, I'm not messing with no damn spirits. You people are nuts. But this is why these things exist, and they're so abundant in this place. It's because this place, there's a bunch of spirits here, wicked, evil spirits. And you people engage in this madness, this detestable activity. It's crazy to me, man. So here it says, down here, reading back at Armstrong, it says, the Baru priests would present a certain question, and based on the position of certain blemishes on or the shape of the liver, an answer would be provided. The British Museum model shows the implication of a certain blemish in any of the 55 different sections. Copious amounts of notes were kept regarding omens relating to livers. Right? So again, this is called a liver omen. Okay, liver omens. And what did the Lord say about omens? Don't deal with that shit. Right? Don't use sorcery, right? It mentioned here about omens. Or interpret omens, verse 10. Or engage in witchcraft, right? Interpreting omens. This is part of that. And like, our people are fascinated with this shit, man. Like, oh, I went to my palm reader. I got this telling. Yeah, I love her. She's so good. She really showed me some things. And this is how these people feel about this shit. And this is the detestable thing, man. And this is part of the reason why this place is on its way out, and it must go. All right, like Ra's al Ghul, Gotham must be destroyed. Right, this place must be. Okay, and it's firstly and foremost by the mouth of the prophets. It's spiritually being devoured. Right, that spiritual fire. These people get offended. No, you can't say that. Why are you saying that about the fortune tellers? You guys are crazy. Let her do what she's doing. Nah, you guys are crazy, right? They're looking at us like we're crazy. It says, as the British Museum writes of this artifact, one of the most widespread means of prediction was a liver omen, in which the sheep was killed and its liver and lungs, examined by a specialist priest. The Baru played an important part in decision making at all levels, but particularly where the king was concerned. No military campaign, building work, appointment of an official, or matters of the king's health would be undertaken without consulting the Baru. Back to Ezekiel, who describes the king of Babylon's decision-making process. Right, we read that scripture. The Babylonian king, here mentioned just prior to Jerusalem's fall, is presented with a binary choice, a crossroads decision two paths before him to advance on Jerusalem or not. In order to decide, one of the methods he uses is to look in the liver, likely with the assistance of his baru. The fact that the lot ended up in his right hand meant that the answer was indeed to go and attack Jerusalem. And Jake thought this is a false omen. This is all bullshit. You know? But these nations, man, hey, if you watch that show, I bring it up frequently, The Last Kingdom, in the first season, you had this tall, they're all Israelites, Danes, the Saxons, all those people that are portraying they were Israelites. So, but you have this Dane, forget his name now, but he was a tall Jake and he was crazy. He was quick tempered, and he had a magician, he had a warlock with him at all times, and any little thing, Abba, his name was Abba. They call him Uba or Abba. Right, and they said never get in a fight with that guy. He's crazy, but he had a warlock. He had a witch with him, and he would cast lots. He would cast certain bones on the floor, and how they land, he would interpret it. Okay, we got to do this or we got to do that, and he didn't do anything without that guy's consultation. You know what I'm saying? And that guy was so superstitious. A lot of you Jakes are like that, man. He was so superstitious you could actually psychologically mess with him. All you have to say is, "Oh, Oba, maybe the gods are angry with you," and then you start panicking like, "Oh shit, maybe they're angry with me." Anything else, he'd fight you. You talk shit to him, but once you say, "Yo, you're not doing the right thing," the gods are angry. Oh fuck, yeah, maybe I gotta consult this guy. And the Lord's not with that. On the right hand side, those men are seers, but we don't have any trinkets or talismans or any kind of, you know what I mean, like any kind of omen. The only omens we have is these prophecies. These are signs. These are the signs of the Lord. He revealed unto his men, right? He had revealed his secrets unto his servants, the prophets, right? The book of Amos says that. And that's how we understand the timeline that we're in. We're not here for another 20 years. There's not going to be another 20 years. This place is on its way out. We're closely headed towards the mark of the beast, the hour of temptation, and the third world war, Armageddon. Okay, that war in the Middle East that's gonna bring about the destruction of Babylon the Great. Right? So back here it says of this passage, Matthew Henry's commentary states the resolution he was hereby brought to, even by these sinful practices, the Most High serves his own purposes. That's right, because that shows the Lord wasn't directly dealing with him. The Lord got the left hand side, the demons, just like these oligarchs, right? The Luciferians, the Illuminati, the occult, whatever you want to call them, the international bankers. These guys practice heavy witchcraft. The Most High is dealing with them on the left hand side, not directly. He has Satan and his demons dealing with him until that light goes out. That light is extinguished right away in a moment. And the demons, all they're doing is lying to you, but they're giving you power. Of course they're giving you power. They're serving a purpose on a timeline that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua created, which is the Bible. What timeline? What part of the timeline are we in right now? The transition of Esau's kingdom going into Jacob's kingdom. He held first the heel of Esau. That prophecy must come to pass, right? So that's the timeline. That's the part of the timeline we're in. We're about to enter the grand kingdom. Okay, the rulership of Yahushua, Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and his men on down. Right? It says his own purposes and directed him to go to Jerusalem, as verse 28 reads, and it shall be unto them as a false divination, but it bringeth iniquity to remembrance that Jerusalem may be taken. So the omen doesn't mean shit. The Lord's purpose is still going. The Lord's purpose is still what's going to happen. But he has these other nations dealing with this madness because this is their science. This is their knowledge. The Babylonian liver tablet then is a fascinating piece of Bible illustration, which can readily be viewed in the Mesopotamian section of the British Museum, and in another manner, it is an illustration of the absurd, groping devotion of the ancient world to insane or inane superstition, likewise described in the Bible, and set in the same time period just before Jerusalem's destruction. Be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the nations are dismayed at them, for the customs of the people are vanity. That's a great scripture. It's in the book of Jeremiah, I believe. They are altogether brutish and foolish. The vanities by which they are instructed are but a stock. The molten image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are vanity, a work of delusion. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. Khan, Jeremiah 10. Let me actually get that. I want to see what that says in the NLT. Is that Jeremiah 10? Yeah. I'll read verse 2 in the NLT. This is what the Lord Yahweh says. Do not act like the other nations who try to read their future in the stars. Do not be afraid of their predictions, even though other nations are terrified by them. Their ways are futile and foolish. They cut down a tree, and a craftsman carves an idol. And this is going into what so-called a holiday time we're in right now. Your left hand high holy day. Okay, Christmas, right? The holiday season. So anyway, that was it on that. I hope you're edified. All right. Now you understand the scripture, because this requires a little bit of history of what these other nations did, pretty much their philosophy. Kahalalim la Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai Ba'Hashem Racha HaKodash. Shalom to the elect.